my dad and I were in Israel for about 2 weeks together. And it's amazing that we've come out, well, I feel like we're still kind of in it, right? It's been a season of war. You know, we started I Stand with Israel so many years ago, but after October 7th, we felt there was a need to have a declaration as the people of God to boldly declare that we are standing with Him over the land that He calls His own and with the people who He's placed in charge of His land. I never could have imagined the bombardment of attacks that came. I mean, quite honestly, growing up in ministry as a Messianic Jew, a Jew who believes in Yeshua as the Messiah, I've dealt with anti-Semitism. I've dealt with the onlooks of, oh, he's one of those crazy Israel nuts. I've dealt with, you know, during 2000 when Israel was going through a lot of the bus bombings. Remember all of that stuff in the news, and people that would stand up for Israel, you know, would constantly get some things like, oh, you know, the crazy people, but it wasn't to this magnitude. And I will never forget it as long as I live. It's almost like etched in my mind as September 11th was. And in that moment, I had invited my dear friend Joshua Aaron to visit. We had a wonderful time of worship. It was October 6th. And I thought, man, I just feel like heaven could kiss us right now because my dad was there. We were in a glorious time of worship, of celebration. And it just felt like one of those Moedims, one of those appointed times where the Lord was just there with us. He was so close. And I kept feeling this unction on my heart and pray for the peace of Jerusalem. I said, Father, of course you want us to pray for Israel. My buddy Joshua Aaron's here. My dad, we're having a great time of worship. We'll pray for Israel, of course. Pray for the peace of my land. And it kept getting more and more and more demonstrative. It became so intense. It felt like he was here over my shoulder telling me, do it now. And it actually came to that climactic moment where you know that if you don't do it, you're in direct disobedience to the Lord. And it was coming out of a beautiful time of worship, and I was bawling my eyes out, and I couldn't understand what in the world is going on with me. Usually I'm very sensitive to His Spirit, but I'm emotional, I'm crying, I'm hearing Him pray for Israel, and it's just, what is going on? So we got up there as a family. We all entered in as First Friday, the group that I lead in Jacksonville, Florida, once a month. And we just began to pray intently, and then it began protect the IDF and the people of Israel. And it's just like, what is going on? That even the sound of our prayer was different. I never could imagine that the next day I woke up October 7th and I had to rush Joshua Aaron to the airport. I usually keep my cell phone far away because it's a distraction, right? It keeps you from scrolling and doing all the things that the algorithms want you to follow in. But I grabbed my phone, I looked at it, and I had so many notifications. It's way out of the norm, and I'm just like, I don't have time for this. I got to go check on Joshua and make sure he's awake. So I'm running up to his room. I don't hear any noises coming out. It's like packing his bag or anything. So I'm like, well, I don't really want to wake him up. So I go back downstairs. I'm waiting for him, and I just like, okay, let me flip up. And you see somewhat of a typical rockets coming into Israel. I was like, don't these guys ever stop? It's so obnoxious, constant harassment. And then it was almost like that, the next one, infiltration. And I was like, no, there's no possible way. I've been to that wall. I know what it's like. A fly can be going there and that camera picks it up and they could shoot it down if they want. There's no possible way that there is enemy within the borders of Israel. And then it just kept coming in, and I saw to my horror video of atrocities already happening. I'm like, how is it possible that live feed is going like that? Something is really... So I'm immediately running to Joshua Aaron. I'm knocking on his door. Joshua, Are you awake? And he wasn't. He had forgotten to plug in his cell phone, so it didn't charge. His alarm didn't go off. So like, something is going on in Israel. Check your phone. But we've got to get to the airport. We're rushing on our way. And I just remembered this like panicking going on, this fear inside. I don't know what's going on. He's trying to get a hold of his daughter who's serving on a base. Finally, he reaches his daughter. And I will never forget that conversation as long as I live. Abba, I am so afraid. I cannot reach my friends whose bases are being attacked right now. I can't reach my friends. I'm so afraid, Abba. And Joshua and Aaron and I, we just start sobbing and weeping in that moment. Just the news, the whole emotion, everything that's going on in that moment. God, what is happening? How is this possible? And I just remember dropping him off at the airport. And we just embraced each other weeping. I thought, I'm sure people are thinking we're just two crazy guys that have lost our minds. But we were so afraid and in fear of like, what is going on? We couldn't understand the complexity of everything. And on my way back, I just had to put on worship and just release it to the Lord. And from that moment, I had never experienced the type of attacks online, death threats. I mean, we've had them before, but not at this level. It was, I could show you the emails, just everything across the board. And in my mind, I said, the enemy has infiltrated across the entire sphere of Israel. And sure enough, then Hezbollah started coming, and then Yemen, Iran, completely surrounded and cut off. And for 2 years, we have been going through this and fighting through as a people, constantly praying. I can't tell you the times I would just stay up at night praying and hoping and believing for breakthrough. My dad and I have been trying to bring tours over, and we had to keep canceling because people were afraid. And we kept wanting to go over to show our support that we are standing with you, and just to show the love of the Lord. And so this last trip we went over, and it was just one of the most, there's times when you feel like you're on assignment, then there's those moments that you know you're on assignment. And my dad and I were invited by Bishop Robert Stearns to help lead a group of Christian songwriters and influencers to go through the land and to sing worship, to lead a gathering called Awake Jerusalem. But I never could have imagined how the Lord was going to use us during that time. If I could sum it up all to you, it's this. The songs from Zion that have gone out for the nations, friends, we are now in the season where the songs from the nations that we have been singing out are coming back to be sung over the nation of Israel and the Jewish people. We are living in some of the most exciting prophetic times that we have read in Zechariah and Isaiah and Ezekiel. And I witnessed it with my eyes. The Jewish people weeping as they hear the song, The Blessing, being sung over them. One quick testimony. We were staying on the stage of the festival. And I can't tell you, it's like stepping onto the ground that you don't want to say a word. You just want to weep because you feel the pain. You're hearing the screams of sorrow and of weeping around you. You're seeing friends that have been separated and are finally coming back together in a moment to remember a catastrophic moment. And if you hear any joy at all, it's because they see each other and we're both alive and we're back in this season celebrating together. But you just feel despair and pain and death. And our group, we're walking through. And we're like, what in the world can we possibly bring that is going to turn this atmosphere around? We kept telling our Israeli tour guide, we're just going to be here in this moment and maybe we'll sing something to the side, but we don't want to disturb this time. It was on October 7th, 2 years on the Gregorian calendar to the day that that happened. And so it was packed. But we stood on that stage, and our Israeli tour guide said, "You need to sing over my people. Do it. Do it now." I had to lean back against the side over there, and I closed my eyes. There was this Jewish Israeli family walking through the crowd, and they're like just looking at us because we're a group from, the nations, America, the UK, Australia. And we just began to sing, "We will dance again." And then we would say, "We will sing again." And then we said, "Evil will not prevail." And before you know it, people start coming all around, and they're just watching, and they're looking at us. And we just kept singing it over and again. "We will dance again. We will sing again. Evil will not prevail." And they just keep looking at us intently, and we felt, okay, maybe the Lord is opening the hearts and we can share. And one of the pastors stood up and he said, "We just want you to know that we're from America, the UK, and Australia. We believe in Jesus, and we're here to love on you and to let you know that the nations are standing with you today." And they clapped. And a woman shouted out, "We see that you see us. And we love you. We love you." And then we just began to sing the blessing. We just lifted our hands over the people, and we were singing over them. "The Lord bless you and keep you." And weeping just started, and they were like worshiping and joining into that moment. And you could feel the atmosphere begin to shift, that the Lord was bringing healing in that moment and change an atmosphere of pain into restoration. And there's not a way that I can explain, and in that moment, what happened, except a brief testimony from a woman that lost her daughter. She said, "I haven't been able to cry in 2 years because I have no emotion to express the pain and the anguish that I have experienced from losing a child." But when you began to sing, when the music began, I wept. And now I can mourn the loss of my child. Friends, we don't realize that when we're praying and worshiping, the effect on the atmosphere that we have as believers can change not only our atmosphere, but over in Israel. And I'm standing here as a testimony today that we cannot stop. Because I just heard the President of the United States stand up and declare, this is a time of peace. Friends, as believers, that should be our indicator that we need to stand on the wall stronger than before, because I read in Ezekiel 38 that there is a time coming when they're saying peace and tranquility, that the Lord himself is calling out the spirit that has harassed us and our people for too long. And he himself has had enough of the enemy surrounding the camp of his land. And he's saying, no more harassment, no more pain, no more death, no more killing, and no more war. So tonight I am here to encourage you to not stop, to not worship, but to boldly declare that in this time when the nations are saying peace, tranquility, there will be peace like never before in Israel. We need to be on the wall standing on that place because nobody else is paying attention. After many days, you will be summoned in the latter years. You will come to a land restored from the ravages of war. You will advance. You will come like a storm. You will be like a cloud covering the earth. You and all your troops. This is the Antichrist spirit that Yeshua himself is calling out to battle. This is what the sovereign Lord says. On that day, thoughts will come into your mind, and you will devise an evil plan. You will say, I will invade a land of unwalled towns. I will advance against those living quietly in security, all of them living without walls and barred gates, to loot, to plunder, to attack the inhabitants of the ruins and the people gathered from the nations who are acquired cattle, goods, who live at the center of the earth. And look here in verse 22 at the end, and I'm done. I will judge him with plague and bloodshed. I will rain down on him his troops and the many people who are with him with a territorial downpour, hailstorms, fire, brimstone. I will exalt and magnify myself. I will reveal myself before many nations. They will know that I am the Lord. Friends, the Lord is going to be exalted in that day. The Lord is going to magnify his name in all the earth. In Houston, Texas, I'm charging you to be on the wall as a watchman, to pray, to continue to post the truth on social media, and to partner with ministries who will not remain silent and not quit in this battle, because the battle is the Lord's, but he needs us to stand in that gap and not give up. Houston, Texas, will you join us? Will you continue to stand? Then let's stand and let's continue to worship the Lord.